Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title, today's video is another dating horror story. So let's just get right into this. Alright guys, so as you can see by the title, yes, your girl has dated a married man. Before you throw rocks, before you throw stones, hear me out. Hear me out. Okay? Hear me out. It was not intentional. Okay? So let's go back. So what reminded me of this story was actually Memorial Day, which just passed. So I met this gentleman on Memorial Day, but it just so happened this was like a fluke. It was like the only time ever that I was spending Memorial Day by myself. No family, no nothing. So at first I was kind of bummed. I was like, should you go to one of your friends' events? Should you just stay home and relax because you have the day off? Like, what should you do? I decided, you know what? I'm gonna get dressed. I'm gonna get cute. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna get me some stuff to have for Memorial Day, and I'm gonna enjoy it myself. That's what I told myself. So I had a fresh wash and go. I fluffed it, refreshed it, did my whole nine, put on my cute little outfit. I still remember what I was wearing, y'all. I will insert a picture here because I am almost 100% certain it's still on Facebook somewhere. So I'm gonna insert the picture here. This was me. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even finna go to the grocery store in my area. I'm finna go to the grocery store that's like, I want to say 2 cities over, okay? So I go to the grocery store and y'all see that outfit. That is not a grocery store shopping outfit, but I was like, if this is all I do today, I'm gonna do it cute. So as soon as I'm going in to grab my basket, and this guy walks up, he's also grabbing a basket. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, you can take it. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I'll grab it, I'll go on by my way. And he goes, I'm trying to remember his exact words. He was like, you wearing that outfit or something like that. And I was like, oh, thank you, you know, but I didn't necessarily think that he was flirting, because a lot of the times like black men will say things like that, but it's just to give you your props. Like, girl, you wearing them earrings, or I see you, girl, that car is nice. Like, they do that. It don't necessarily mean they try to get at you. Keep in mind, homeboy was fine. I'm not gonna even sugarcoat it. He was fine, which is why I did not think he was flirting with me, because he was an older black guy, but he was fine. Like, I wish I could show y'all his picture, but I ain't gonna do him like that. Fine. So now I'm really feeling myself like, this fine dude then told me I'm wearing this outfit. Oh, and I said back, I was like, oh, you know, I tried. And he was like, nah, forget try, you doing it. So that made me be like, okay, that was a little bit extra, but whatever. So I go into the grocery store, I'm grabbing my stuff, and it crossed my mind, like, I wonder if I'm gonna run into him again. It crossed my mind, but I was just like, whatever. I wasn't intentionally trying to run into him. I was just like, maybe it'll happen. So I go down this one aisle and I'm getting me some Italian soda, and I see him like kind of step back, like kind of looking. I was like, oh, excuse me, and I had to go past him. And he was like, oh, and he stepped back. He didn't look up. He didn't look me up and down. He didn't say hey again. He just stepped back. I said, okay. And I walked past him. I got my little soda and I went and got in line. And the line was short. It was like nobody in front of me. Like, as I walked up, the person was like grabbing their bags and going. I got in line and I had like maybe like 15 items or so. And he got in line, he got behind me. And there were plenty of lanes, but he got behind me, right? And he had like 2 items. So I said to him, I was like, oh, you know what? You can go in front of me, which is something I always do. If I have like a ton of items and you have like 2, I'm going to tell you to go in front of me. So I was like, oh, you know, go ahead and go in front of me. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, just go ahead. I have way more stuff than you. He's like, thank you. That's nice of you. As soon as he gets to the register, he's talking to the woman, and their conversation is not like, did you find your produce today? Boop. Oh, do you need any help with the bags? It wasn't that kind of conversation. It was like, we know each other conversation. Like she was like, oh yeah, so did you do X, Y, and Z? And he was like, no, you know, we probably not gonna do that. We probably gonna do this. We probably gonna do that, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh, okay, you know, well, we did this, blah, 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 blah. Like they're having like a legit conversation. So I'm like, okay, does he work here? Like, cause it was a surface level conversation, like two co-workers or something like that. So anywho, he gets his stuff, he walks out, right? So I'm not paying no attention because at this point you had like 2 items. You walk into your car. I'm never finna see you again, my dude. Like this is it. So after all my stuff is bagged up, you know, I go, I walk to my car, I put my bags in, I walk back, I put the cart, I hop in my car, and I drive off. As I'm driving off, I see this Magnum like dipping through traffic behind me, dipping through traffic. And I'm like, something told me it's him. But why would you have to chase me when I came out after you? But something told me it's him. So the car kind of gets on the side of me, and he looks over like this. I'm not finna play these games with you, sir. If you want to talk to me, you talk to me. So I keep driving. I keep driving. And then my gas light is on. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop and get some gas. So I pulled over. I pulled over and I went to this gas station and I pulled up. Then he kept going straight. So I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. He just probably wanted me to see what he drives or see what I drive or whatever. And I'm in the gas station. I go in, I get my money. And when I come out, he's parked in the spot over from me. So I'm like, you was feeling me or whatever. So he was like, now you know you saw me chasing you. All I could do was laugh because I did. I 100% saw you chasing me, but I didn't know that you knew I saw you. So clearly I was not up on game the way I should have been. But I was like, yeah, I really couldn't tell. Like, you know, I didn't know. He was like, yeah. He was like, I ain't gonna lie. He was like, I tried to like keep going and not circle back around and talk to you. He was like, but something was telling me like, man, you gotta know her. You gotta know her. So I was like, oh, okay. So he's like, how old are you? You know, where do you stay? And I gave him my phone number. And he was like, yeah, what are you doing today? And I was like, nothing, just chilling by myself. I was like, I'm not going to no like barbecue or anything. And you know, my family's out of town. He was like, okay, well, he's like, so I'm just really just gonna stop at my mom's house and eat with her for a minute or whatever, and that's about it. I was like, oh, okay, you know. I go home and I get this weird text message. And it's like an email address at Gmail something or other. And he's like, hey, it's me. Says his name. And for the purpose of this video, we will call him Bruno. Because we don't talk about Bruno, right? So Bruno says, hey, what's up? It's me, Bruno. Just shooting you a quick message. Man, I can't get you out of my head. And I'm like, forget what you talking about. What's this weird numeric situation? I'm like, what is up with this text message? Like, what is, your number is showing up as an email. Now, I know if you have an iPhone, you know that sometimes people can text you or call you and it'll have an email address if it's through iMessage. That's not what this was. He was coming over to me green. Okay? To non-iPhone users, that means it is not an iPhone. It's not iMessage. This person is literally doing some weird stuff. So he calls me. He's like, hey, you know, just talk. So we have this long conversation. We talk about his age, what he's into, what he's looking for. And he tells me, he goes, you know, I just separated from my wife. He was like, we're in the process of getting a divorce. He was like, I'm staying with my mom. I'm probably going to let her have the house. He was like, my other son's like 17. He'll be out the house. He's going out of state. My other son is already out of state. He was like, so it's going to be pretty much a clean break. It's amicable. We both want to be separated, blah, blah, blah. So a part of me was like, I don't like that. That's messy. Like, divorce, one thing. Separated has always been a fine line to me. I never really understood what separated meant. So, you know, I ask people I know, like, hey, do you think that people can date when they're separated? And they're like, yeah, if somebody's separated, it's 100% okay for them to date. And I'm like, okay, because I've never been married. I don't know the rules. But separation always seemed to me like that was like, yeah, you could end up going back to the person, but you can end up going back to somebody once you're divorced. I think when somebody is completely separated and their ties are broken, a lot of them date because you see them get divorced and then get remarried. It's like they had to have been dating while they were separated to get married the minute they're divorced, right? So I was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. I'll see if anything's fishy. I'll see if he disappears for days and hours, and then I'll know like it's not what he says it is. Like, I wasn't dumb, right? So oh boy is like, yeah, I don't have like Instagram. I don't have Facebook. I'm not on any type of social media like that, but my wife and my phone are still on the same plan. I don't want her in my business. I don't want her seeing phone numbers of who I'm calling. And I'm like, is it like that? Like, is she gonna actually be looking? And he's like, no. Like, it's not like that. Like, she won't be looking, but just in case she ever did, I would never want to put her in a situation where she's like, wow, he's dating again. Or you in a position where if she did decide to call you, you have to be like, yeah, we're dating and her feelings are hurt. He's like, you know, this is all new. We've been married for, I think he said, since they were like 18 or something. So they had been married like 20 years, something ridiculous. Let me see, yeah, because he was in his 40s. So they had been married like 20 years and had 2 kids. So I was like, you know what? I'm not touching that. I don't know how that goes. If that's what he says, I'm gonna take it for face value. So he was like, what's your email address? He was like, I think email would be better. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Go ahead, but email me. So I'll give him my email address, and that's how we're communicating. So he's like, I'm gonna send you some pictures to remind you how fine I am. I'm like, you ain't gotta remind me, okay? So he sends me all these pictures. So I'm like, okay, all right, I see you suit and tie, I see you basketball shorts. Like, you know, just, this is how you know he didn't do social media, because if you did social media, all you have to do is give me like your Instagram, your Facebook, something like that, and I could see your whole get down. You know, like, I don't, but I was like, okay, maybe he's just old school, right? Maybe he's just old school. I still have all of the emails because I have literally had an iPhone since the beginning of time, and the email that I gave him is not one that I frequently use, so it still has pretty much everything in it. But basically our messages, I'll put these on the screen, used to just consist of, you know, him saying hi and him sending me pictures, and I think we met up like twice. We met up at a Starbucks and other places, and he would talk to me throughout the day. We would have phone conversations, but as far as texting, the texting was always through email. So I never really paid much attention to it. Our relationship, our friendship, our courtship was really simple. You know, he was always flattering, he was always nice, he was always a gentleman, but he always made sure that he put it out there that, you know, he liked me and he was attracted to me. Always told me how beautiful I was, how pretty I was, how good I smelled. You know, oh my gosh, I couldn't even function at work because I just kept smelling your perfume. He was very complimentary and fine. Did I mention he was fine? So nothing sexual ever happened between me and him because I was always kind of like, you need to get your foot out the door completely and wholly before you even consider like a full relationship with me. He kind of knew that was like my stance on everything. So the funny thing is, I didn't think anything of it until one day I was talking to my sister and she was talking about one of her coworkers and she was like, yeah, you know, my coworker is so obsessed with this guy that works across the street. She was like, and she was like jumping up and down one day and she said that they were gonna hang out. And my other coworker joked and was like, girl, please, he probably gave you his email. I was like, what? Email? Am I showing boomer tendencies? Because I was like, what does he mean? She was like, you know, like some men, they just give out their email when they don't really want you to have their phone number. Like they're not that interested. And I'm like, am I the one that he's not that interested in? And I told my sister, I'm like, you know, I met this guy, blah, 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 blah. I was like, and yeah, he gives me his email, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like breaking down everything I just broke down to you guys. And she's like, Amber, he's still with his wife. I was like, you think? She's like, yeah, he's still with his wife. She said, that's why you have the email. She said, because if you think about it, she was like, text messages don't show up on a phone bill. I'm like, wait, she's right. You can't see who someone's texting on a phone bill. Calls, yes. Text, no. So you not wanting to have the text in your phone is because she could see your phone because you guys are very much still living together. It was like, you're legit not separated, my dude. You're married. So I hit him up. I'm like, hey, this been fun and all. I said, but I'm getting the feeling that everything that you told me about your situation is not true. I'm getting the feeling that you are in fact married. I'm getting I knew you were like legally married, but I feel like you're still very much living with your wife, which is why you don't text, blah, 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 blah. Immediately defensive. That is not the case. I told you the reason why is I said text message don't show up on bills. Well, I don't know about your carrier, but the kind of plan I have, it outlines who you text and all that other kind of stuff. And I just don't want the drama. I just want this thing to end amicably, and I don't want to stir the pot. I like you and I don't know what I need to do to prove that, but I'm not married. I've never once tried to hide you or hide anything with you. And then I've started thinking, that's probably why you didn't talk to me inside the grocery store. You probably come to that store with your wife and you didn't want those people there to be like, oh, we seen her talk to this girl. That's why you let me leave out the parking lot, drive down the street, and that's why you had to do a mad dash to catch up to me, because you didn't want them to see you leaving around the same time as me. All this started coming together and clicking. I'm like Sherlock Holmes with it, like, that now makes more sense. So I'm like, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. I said, I just think it's best that you talk to me once that situation is done, once that situation is over with. Like, if you feel like talking to me is going to stir the pot, make your divorce worse, or hurt her feelings or whatever you're trying to protect it from, I can tap out. And if when that is over and done with, if you want to pursue talking to me again and I'm like available and single, we can go from there. So he was just like, whatever, that's your decision, you know, it's a bad one, but whatever, because I really saw something with us, da da da. It is what it is, right? So like maybe, let me see, 2 years later, I'm just double checking the time frame here, I get a message from him and he's like, hey sexy lady, how have you been? And I said, I've been good to hear from you. What have you been up to? How is life? And he said, life is good, can't fuss. You know me, wanting to see you now that you back on my mind. And I said, well, we can meet up. I don't have an issue with that. I haven't seen you in forever. Now keep in mind, this is just like me saying like, we can meet up, we can have coffee, we can talk. That point, you can tell me what's going on with your life. You know, are you officially divorced? Or did you go back to your wife? Like just on some friends tip. And then he says, don't have an issue, question mark, flattering, LOL. And I said, LOL, I didn't mean it that way. I just mean that we can meet up despite the fact of like the hesitation that I had before about you being married. I'm saying I don't have a problem with meeting up with you despite the fact that I don't know what the status of that situation is. So that was February 18th. Then he messages me March 31st. So a whole like month and some days after, and says, hey sexy, funny how you always disappear when it's time to pay up. What am I paying up? Like, is that what you thought was gonna happen? You thought that I was gonna meet up with you after all this time, despite the fact that I think that you're married, and sleep with you? You fine, but you ain't that fine. Nobody's that fine. Maybe Chris Brown. No, Chris Brown ain't even that fine. I said, I'm sure it seems that way to you. I said, seems we had different ideas on what this meetup was gonna be. I said, but anywho, a month later, how have you been? And he goes, hello, seems? LOL, no, it is. He was like, you can always fall off. This is like one of those narcissistic like tendencies where somebody kind of projects what they do onto you. In fact, sir, you were the one disappearing. In fact, sir, you were the one who, when I questioned whether or not if you were married, you could not produce anything or reassure me that you weren't still very much with your wife. And you didn't even lead this conversation with, hey, you know, I'm divorced, it's final, it's been 2 years. Sir, it's 2 years and you're very still much with your wife. You're very still much with your wife. So I messaged him back and I said, hey, you know, I was like, it's good to hear from you and everything. I said, but my position really hasn't changed. I said, I'm not looking to like, you know, be in the middle of something, be in the middle of some drama. And, you know, it is what it is at this point. So I get a call. And it's a woman. And she's like, hi, is this Amber? I'm like, yes, this is Amber. She goes, hi, this is Bruno's wife. I said, oh, hi, Bruno's wife. How can I help you? And she's like, yeah, you know, me and Bruno are very close. We are friends. We've known each other since we were kids. We have 2 kids together. And sometimes that can be off-putting to other people, but we are completely separated. Like, we aren't together, and you shouldn't have any hesitation on entering into a relationship with him. I said, but you guys are still married? Technically, on paper, we're still married. And I just started getting vibes like, this ain't the wife. You playing games, because I just can't see me as an ex-wife really standing up and making that phone call for my ex-husband so that some girl could, I mean, there are other ways to go about that, right? Like bringing me to your house or taking me with you when you pick up your kid and me seeing her in a whole different house. There are other ways that you can do that than asking her to call me. I just felt like it was a homegirl. I felt like it was a homegirl. I felt like it was a sibling. I just did not feel, it was just so awkward and just so cringy. Like, I didn't want to be a part of you having to explain to me that it's okay to sleep with your husband, which is basically what I was getting. And I'm one of those people who get paranoid. I'm like, are you polyamorous? Are you trying to get a sister wife? Like, what's the real story behind this? Like, what's really going on? But anywho, cut to the chase. I messaged him. I was like, hey, you know, your wife called me. He's like, yeah, I told her to give you a call. I said, but we're still talking via email. So that makes no sense. I said, if your wife is comfortable enough to call me, to tell me there's nothing between you, why are you still now worried about her seeing my number on the bill? Why is this conversation still happening via email? Sir, go home to your wife and your kids. Go home to your wife and your kids. All I can say is I'm so happy that nothing happened, that nothing went anywhere, because there's just some things. Give me the opportunity, okay? I always say this. Give me the opportunity to make the decision for myself. Say to me, you know what, Amber, I'm married. We still live together. Things are not good at all. We don't communicate. We don't talk. I'm not happy. I would still like to date you. I don't know where this is gonna go. My kids are young. We're probably gonna get a divorce once the youngest goes away to school. Allow me, I still wouldn't have dated you, but allow me to be like, okay, I understand. Your marriage is over, but you still have an interest in me and you don't want to wait to pursue that. Let me decide that I'm going to enter into that. Don't tell me we're completely separated. We live in different houses. We already split in custody with my older son. And then that's not the case. So I did not stick around to find out. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Occasionally he will email me and be like, hey, how are you doing? How are things going? Things like that. And I'm always cordial because I have no reason to don't message me. I have a whole man and I have no interest in pursuing anything with this other person, so I just keep it short and simple. I'm like, oh, I've been doing good, you know, I've been fine, I've been chilling, I've been, you know, I don't mention that I have a YouTube, I don't mention, hey, follow my Instagram, no, nothing. It's just very much surface level, and I usually don't hear from him again for like another 2 years. Then he'll be like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing, married man? Because I know you're still married. But I just wanted to pop in and share that dating horror story with you. Your girl was dating a whole married man, and my little sister had to put me up on game because I was just like, I don't know. I think at the time I was dating other people, just like platonic. I do a lot of platonic dating. I'm not gonna even sugarcoat you guys on that. I will be dating someone for like 6 months and it'll just be almost platonic. So I was dating other people. I wasn't really worried about what he was doing or how he was doing it, but once I saw he was lying's different. You know, just keep it real. Like if you're in a situation and you start to develop feelings for someone else, I think it's important for you to be honest with both parties involved. Just be like to your wife, like, hey, you know, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good, you know. And then to the person you're interested in, hey, things with me and my wife, it ain't looking good. Simple. I can respect that. I can respect the hell out of that. But telling me one thing and then she looking in your phone and then having somebody call me. You know you have somebody call me. Always follow your instincts, ladies. And if you don't have instincts, if you're blinded by the BDE or by the looks, tap in with somebody else who has your same type of personality, who is very observant, and just make sure that you are dotting those I's, crossing those T's, okay? Because you do not, that situation could have gone bad real quick. I could have got feelings for him and been chased down the street by some woman. Who knows? Who knows? But anyways, guys, that is all I have for you today. And as always, love ya, mean it, bye. Deuces.
That's how we fall out. 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 That's how we fall out.